infused with emunah, infused with pure dedication to what Hashem wants. Women have that special quality, as we find in this week's parsha, Parshas Beshalach, that when they already left Egypt, it says they brought their tambourines with them because they were convinced that they knew in advance that Hashem would perform miracles. The men, they had to wait till they crossed the sea in order to start singing and thanking Hashem. The women, even before they left Egypt, they already brought the tambourines with them to thank Hashem for the amazing miracles that they knew would happen. So men are usually left out for these things. The only way I got myself in to have the schus to participate was by having to share a few words. So you'll excuse me, this is my way in to participate and have the schus to be with you tonight. I'm going to start this. Tonight is Motzei Shabbos, and there's a famous Jewish custom to start off with a story. It says to say a story of a special tzaddik. I'm going to say a story of a chassid that sat in prison for spreading Yiddishkeit, Judaism, in communist Russia. While in that books, that makes him a tzaddik enough for me. Someone that sat in Russia to prison for spreading Judaism, for me, is a tzaddik. So we will start off with this story. There's a true story which is documented, and there are many people that have said over the story with numerous lessons to be learned, but we're going to keep focused on one point. The story goes that this Jew is in a barracks in World War II, post-World War II, and he's in the barracks in some deep Siberian, frozen terrain, and every day is basically the same thing. You get up, you go to work, back-breaking labor, you come back and there's no warm meal waiting for you, they're cold, a few little morsels of food, and you go back and you lay down on this barren wooden bench, which is officially a bed, and a bunch of people have to share the same plank of wood for a bed, and one guy rolls over and everyone has to roll over with him, day in, day out, and weeks by weeks go by and different people die of different diseases, starvation, and all the other things that were rampant in the prison of that time. Well, our dear chassid gets up 2 o'clock in the morning to go to the restroom, and from his little corner bunker, he sees this weird sight. He sees at the other end of the bunk of this place where they are, there's this guy, and he has a cloth on top, a big white cloth on top of him, and he goes like this, puts it on his head, and underneath he's doing some motions, and 2 minutes later the cloth goes off, and this guy goes back to sleep. Now this is very spooky for him, doesn't know what this person is doing in the middle of the night, cloth on, cloth off, he's not sure where he's going with this. So he goes back to sleep and decides to confront this guy the next day. He goes over to him, and this is actually a Japanese POW from World War II. He's there, he was captured by the Russians. And he goes over to him and he says, sir, what was going on last night? He says, nothing. He says, no, I'm not coming to punish you, I'm not informing on you. I saw you 2 a.m., I'm coming as a friend, I'm not here to bother you, just let me know what was going on under that sheet at 2 a.m. Nothing. Your eyes were deceiving you. You have imagination, nightmares, there's hallucinations. You were cold. No. I saw it. Tell me what it is. He says, you know what? If you promise not to tell, I guess he did tell later, because we all know the story. If you promise not to tell, I'll tell you what goes on. He says in Japan, everyone knows the Japanese are very big into honor. They will go to the death for their honor. It's like the biggest thing. And they're very, very loyal. They had this write-up recently in the Zaman magazine. They found a Japanese soldier 40 years after World War II finished, and he was stranded on an island, and he was still planning how to ruin the Americans. He didn't know the war was over, and he was a lone guy, and he was still in the jungle, dedicated to his mission, World War II. These people, they're built the honor that they take to their cause is like till the end, honor before anything. He says, I've been captured for a couple of years. I was a general in the Japanese army, and I was captured, and I'm stuck here in Siberia. And for the first few weeks and months, I still felt the drive that I got to get out of here. I got to rejoin my troops. I got to get back into it. But a couple months later, and I realized that I'm probably not getting out of here, I slowly got used to my new surroundings, my new environment. And in my head, I felt that my feeling of dedication to the cause that I swore to was diminishing, getting slower, quiet. I was losing it. And I was trying to think, what can I do to re-inspire myself? Until I came up with this amazing thing. He says, once a week, in the middle of the night, nobody sees, I take a cloth, I cover myself, and I put on my uniform, my Japanese uniform, that I wore the day that I took my oath of service. And I put it on, and I go, hail to the chief. I remember how I felt at that time when I was dedicating myself to the Japanese cause. And I quickly take it off before I get caught. But those few moments of remembering my oath gives me inspiration for the rest of the week. And every time I feel that my inspiration is waning and it's getting short, getting slower and slower, I'm losing the faith, I put on my uniform again and I go strong, and that revives me to think about who I am, what my mission is, and where I'm going. This is a story of a Japanese soldier in World War II. This story, I feel, is very appropriate tonight because as we get together, community members and really as Jewish people together, while we may be in this beautiful home, and we are in this beautiful community, in a wonderful country, and Baruch Hashem, everyone is happy, healthy, we're not in Siberia, we have our beds and we have our wine. I mean, this is beautiful to be Motzei Shabbos and beautiful Malava Malka. This is almost Gan Eden. Yet in truth, compared to where we need to be, the Jewish people have to be in Eretz Yisrael with Hashem, with the Beis HaMikdash, in our land, with our people, with our kings, following our laws. In comparison to that, we are really in Siberia. While we may have it all good physically, where a Jew is supposed to be, this is a Siberia. And every single one of us are a soldier in Hashem's army who took an oath to stand by our neshama before it came down, took an oath to stand by and to do what we can to bring the world back to the way it's supposed to be, to bring the world to Geula. That is the oath, and we'll speak a little bit about that. And many times the neshama comes down and gets caught up and sidetracked or sort of told, consciously or subconsciously, your mission is doomed, you were captured, it's not for you, get used to it, live in the new environment, make the best of it, and go on with your life. And that's why it's so important from time to time, like a Malava Malka like this, which is basically the point of it, the way I see it, is that for these few moments, we put on our uniform, we remember our cause, we remember where we're supposed to be going, the dedication that our neshama has to this mission, and we put this together to give us strength to continue in our special mission that we all have. Before the world was created, the Torah tells us, Bereishis bara elikim eis hashamayim ve'eis ha'aretz. Hashem created the heavens and the earth. And the Torah tells us this very interesting thing, that the world was empty. Toyu vavoyu, the world was completely void. The only thing that was around was V'ruach elikim merachefes al pnei amoyim. The spirit of Hashem was floating around the water. It was hovering around the water. Now all the commentaries ask, why is it important to know what was going on in pre-creation, that there was the spirit of Hashem floating around? I mean, it's nice to know, but the Torah is not a hocus-pocus, spooky thing. to let us know about spirits, what is the message that we are supposed to learn from this? So the Baal Turim and others bring down that it wasn't a regular spirit. It was the spirit of Mashiach that was hovering around the world. And Hashem, by writing this in the Torah, is letting us know that from the very beginning of creation, I'm letting you know the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation is that the world should reach its pure state of Geula, of redemption, of divine revelation. And it's not another thing that we do. This is the whole purpose of creation from the beginning. V'ruach Elokim merachefes, that this spirit of Mashiach, which is concealed, should come out in a revealed way. This is something which is extremely dear to Hashem, because this is the very purpose of creation. As a matter of fact, and this is an amazing thing that a lot of people don't notice, in the history of mankind, there is only once that Hashem revealed himself to everybody. We've had prophets throughout the time, and we had a lot of people that claimed that God revealed himself to them throughout the time. You know, everyone has their thing. But we've had our share of prophets. But there's only one case in creation that Hashem actually allowed himself to express himself to everybody, which would make sense that every word of that revelation should be analyzed. Because if Hashem in one time in history is going to reveal himself and give over his personal message to the world, it obviously is a very important message. If I know that I have 2 minutes to talk, the worst thing I would do in those 2 minutes is waste a minute and a half on introductions, because then you really have no time to speak. If you study Hashem's message to the world, and he had 2 minutes to speak, so to speak, he literally wastes half of it on an introduction. He says, hello everybody, Anoichi Hashem Elekecha, I am Hashem, Asher Etzesicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim, who took you out of Egypt. So now you know who I am, as if they didn't know who he was. But this big loud voice comes down from heaven and introduces himself. And his message is, Lo yilecha elikim acherim al pona. You should not have any idols, you should not serve any other idols, any other deities, any other gods. It's only me. So that's his message. His message is that I exist, and please don't serve anyone else. It's a beautiful message, but seemingly a wasted opportunity. That Hashem should go through the whole introduction, I am Hashem who took you out of Egypt. As a matter of fact, take it a step further, you ask any person, any Jewish person, and even every non-Jewish person, so how many commandments did God give on Sinai? And the answer is going to be 10. Does anyone know what the first one of those commandments are? Everyone says, yeah, the first commandment was Anoichi Hashem Lekecha. Does anyone hear a commandment in I am Hashem who took you out of Egypt? No commandment there. It seems like an introduction. So really, there's 9 commandments and 1 introduction. Seems to be a little bit of a waste that Hashem finally is talking and he gives this whole introduction. So the commentaries say it was not an introduction. Hashem, in the very first and only time that he talks to the Jewish people, lets know what's the most important thing for Jews. The Rishonim explain, when Hashem says, Anoichi Hashem Elekecha Asher Tzesicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim, I am Hashem who took you out of Egypt, he wasn't introducing himself. He was introducing the purpose of creation. Hashem was telling the Jewish people, no matter where you are, you always must have belief that Hashem will take you out of your personal Egypt, and Hashem will take you out of the general exile which we are in. Emunah in Mashiach is not a good thing to have. It's the only commandment that Hashem actually spoke openly to the entire Jewish people, not through Moshe, not through anybody. This is what he felt if he had to give over one commandment. It is, believe in me, I've taken you out in the past, and I will take you out in the future. This is Hashem's message. Always believe in redemption. Never give up that faith, no matter how hard and the odds seem to be stacked against us. Always remember, and we know that every soul, every Jewish soul, was by Mount Sinai. And that means it was my soul, your soul. We all were there, and we all accepted this. We all gave our word. We swore our allegiance to this message. But unfortunately, with time, many of us have either become unaware or the circumstances have dulled our sensitivity to this message. And tonight is the time, and I'd like to thank all the organizers far and near who put so much work together to have this beautiful event, that we come together and we redon our uniforms. We reclaim our heritage. We reclaim our mission, and we devote ourselves to the purpose which our souls have come down, the purpose of the acceptance of the Torah, and the purpose of the creation of the world. The purpose being the revealed revelation of Hashem and His will and His wisdom and His people and His Torah all together, with a led by Melech HaMashiach, bringing us to Eretz Yisrael, building the third Beis HaMikdash, gathering us, all the Jewish people from all the generations together, one people, one Torah, one Hashem, one purpose, one mission, one word. Mashiach now.